Okay, good afternoon, guys. I want to talk to you a little bit about the profession of architecture and how that kind of happened to me and what it could potentially do for you if you're interested. Okay? First question, what is an architect? Any ideas? I'll give you a clue. We design environments. You could take that as being the immediate space around you, or you could take that as being the city that you live in. It's as big or as small as you want it to be. But basically creating spaces where you feel safe, you're comfortable, you're in an environment where you are effective and inspired. Now, going back to history, the precedent I always like to talk about for architects is an architect called Pugin, who designed the Houses of Parliament. But he designed that whole building and then down to the light switches and the wallpaper, even the toilet paper he designed. It's an entirely holistic concept as a profession. That's why I like it. It can be about detail, or it can be about doing buildings like this. This is Osaka Airport by a famous Italian architect called Renzo Piano. The building is so long that they have to take account of the curvature of the Earth when they set it out. 2 kilometers, just under 2 kilometers long. Man-made island, earthquake zone, as complex as you want to make it. And then we have the world of what we call the starchitects, who are doing crazy things like this ridiculous yacht by Zaha Hadid. So, as an architect, you can design anything from a coffee cup to a yacht to a city. That's why I enjoy it. So who are we? Now comes the bad news. We are still mostly white, male, and middle class. I'm a classic example of this. Public school education, go to college, become an architect. But the good news is it's changing, but too slowly. The bad news for the ladies amongst us is that as a profession, we have only 40% of architecture students are female. By the time you qualify, that number drops to 20%. So I'm afraid there's a battle there to be won. It hasn't been won yet. That said, most of the female architects I work with outperform their male counterparts significantly. Little challenge. Can you name 2 women architects? And that's the problem with our profession. It's been very much male-dominated for far too long. So Zaha Hadid is one. Can you name a second one? I'll give you a freebie. Ryui Nishizawa of an architectural practice called Sana, who are based in Japan. I put that up there because I just found that photo and I love the stereotypical view of an architect. Stylish glasses, generally wears black and quite glamorous jewellery. So if that kind of hits it for you, stay with it. Just showing you some of the buildings she does, just to show that she's actually bloody good. This was the Serpentine Pavilion in London last year. And this is Modern Art Gallery in New York. Pile of books. Great building. That's the team I work with on a day-to-day basis. And as you can see, we come from all over the world. Some boys, some girls. It's a real mixed bag. What actually matters is that you're interested in design and you give a damn. If you're not interested, don't do it. Go and be an accountant and earn some proper money. So, what do? We design spaces and explain to the people who are going to build those spaces and make them real how to do it. So it's about conveying information. Now that means that your single biggest skill as an architect is your ability to communicate. Now that can be via pencil and paper, it can be by a computer, or it could be actually making stuff. But vastly important, and we forget this one, is words, the use of language, how you actually tell somebody how you want that building to go together. I'll show you an example. This is a sketch by a very famous French architect called Jean Nouvel. It's for an art gallery for the Louvre in Abu Dhabi. Begins with an idea, with a pencil on a piece of paper. That's what the computer does with that sketch. It takes it from being the idea into being something Wowsville. This is, just to give you some scale, that's about 200 meters across. It's absolutely massive. And then you start making models of it. to see how it goes together, to see what makes it stand up. And then you test that model to see how the light works and how that environment comes together. It's all about communicating and refining that thing from the sketch on the piece of paper to the thing they're building in the desert at the moment. It is an increasingly specialist profession. You can be as high-tech as you like, designing complicated buildings like this new botanic garden in Singapore, or you can be about putting back together historic buildings and making those live again. And between them lies the range that we work in. And most people find a niche that interests them, and they go with it. So, why should you do architecture? Number one, you love architecture. If you don't love it, don't do it. My life advice for you all is if you don't love something, go away and do something else. It's not worth the effort. You want to make something tangible. It's actually about building things. Something will be there. There is nothing more exciting than actually seeing something that you sketched start to happen and come true. You want to face ever-changing challenges. No 2 days are the same, I say, having spent the first 4 hours of my day sitting on the M40 going nowhere. Every day is different. Can you handle pressure? Long hours and criticism. That's the tough one. People will be nasty to you. You will come up with something you've created and somebody will tell you it is shit to your face. Now, I've had that from Prince Charles, which was actually quite exciting, and I thought, good one. I've actually achieved something. But you've got to be able to be thick-skinned enough to take it. And you can believe that you can make something special, because the reason we do it is because we want to change things. You've got to love architecture. I started, this is highly secretive picture. That's one of my first buildings. It is a Pizza Hut in Coventry. I am not proud of that building, although it spent ages detailing that wall that changed from buff to brick as it went across. But 7 years of doing rubbish, I finally got to do my first building, which was this one, which won some prizes and got some publications and things like that. It's a long slog. Don't photograph this. That's secret. So be patient and you get there, and it's rather nice to see the students from this building round the corner with their stand. And you kind of go on and you start to build things, and I've been lucky enough to build things around the world and things like that. So, practically, what do you guys at school need to study, and how does it work? GCSE level, I recommend you study everything. I believe in the Leonardo concept of the universal man. The more you know about everything, the better it works. At A level, favourites tend to be maths, art, design, science, but I also advocate languages, music, drama, literature. Anything that brings a richness to your understanding of culture and creativity is important. You then go to college, you do your degree. That will take you 3 years of your life. It will cost you a lot of money. You then go and work for a year, claw some of that back, then you go back and do another degree, another 2 years of your life, costing you even more money. You then finish. You have to work for at least a year to get the professional practice qualifications before you get the letters after your name. Basically, 7 years of your life. People are leaving as soon as I say 7 years. Bye, guys. If you don't love it, don't do it. It's rather similar to kind of, I always see it as grievous bodily harm or attempted murder. But if you stick with it, that's what you've got to do. Why shouldn't you do it? I'm afraid you are unlikely to get your convertible Aston Martin, yet more people leave. But that's the reality. It's not a job that you're going to earn a lot of money in. The average architect earns £40,000 a year. The average accountant or lawyer is earning £60,000+ a year. So it's not a well-paid profession, particularly for the length of time that it takes you to train for it. And that is really as close as I'm going to come to a £50 note, with Christopher Wren being on one. So why did I do it? I'll give you my personal take. It all started, for those of you of a certain age, with a Ladybird book. And I made the mistake of kind of liking this when I was a child, which meant when I went to school on a geography trip to London, standing in this square in Islington, the geography teacher very pompously said, and this building reminds you of, and I said, King's College Chapel, Cambridge, of course, which immediately meant that I was marked out to be an architect for the rest of my school career. I didn't really know I wanted to be an architect, that just kind of happened to me. So I got sent off to this place, which is a school of architecture, where they basically teach you what not to do. But it changed for me when I went to Italy when I was 19, and suddenly it clicked. I got what this idea of buildings and cities and spaces all started to mean, and I'm eternally grateful for that. That was a life-changing experience, and I can put it down to a moment when I was on a boat about there in the middle of St. Mark's Basin in Venice with the sun on my shoulders, surrounded by amazing buildings, and I thought, shit, this is just the most amazing job in the world. And if you don't fall in love with it like that, as I say, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not enough money. It's too much hassle. Do something you enjoy. But if you love it, it's great. Absolutely great. So, if you want to know about us, look at our website, drop me an email, follow my tweets. I tweet about buildings and things like that fairly regularly. That's what we're about. As I'm the last on, and I've got 5 minutes, I won't ask for questions. I'll show you my favourite building. How about that? It's in a little valley in Switzerland, just north of the Italian border. The valley is 20 miles long, and it's a dead end. So why would you go up this valley? What possible reason have you got to go there? The people in the village had got a problem. Why were people going there? They got a grotty old rundown hotel with a spa. There's the valley. Absolutely beautiful, but 20 miles from nowhere. Why would you go there? So they commissioned a local architect who'd never really built much to design a spa for them. And the spa sits in this really deep-sided valley, so all you see out of the windows is greenery and cows. And if you look up, you get some sky. And at the head of the valley, there's an amazing lake, and the colour of the water is just fantastic. And that mountain is the boundary between Italy and Switzerland. I'm painting the remote picture for you. The building he designed doesn't really look out to that much. It's very controlled, very inward looking. And you can see it's this walls of stone, half buried into the floor of the valley. And inside it, it's almost like a series of caves that you navigate through. And these caves are made from the local stone, and each one is themed on a sense. So one is about touch, one is about taste, one is about sound, sight, etc. This one's about sight. You swim through a stone tunnel, about just wide enough for your shoulders. You come out really low down. You come out into this huge, great chamber, probably as high as the ceiling out there, with light at the top of it. And you just go, wow. And then as you're going, wow, there's a water jet in the floor that suddenly makes you go, ah, as you sort of walk over it. But all about sensitivity. Glimpses out to the amazing valleys around. The pool is fantastic because it's warm water, so at night, even in summer, the temperature's below zero in the evenings. So you swim out into these clouds of steam. And on the roof, there's this lovely detail where they've got little spotlights beaming light down, so even at night, you're getting light falling down into the main pools below. The water that kind of comes out of the ground there has got these minerals in it, so they've let it run over the concrete that the building's made of, and you get these amazing patterns and staining of the concrete building up. As you go in, it's the whole thing is choreographed, so you process down these ramps, and it's all about kind of getting change, going down into the pool, down below it, and this amazing light and stone. All you get is sunlight, stone, and water. It's just the most simple building. Then down into the pool with this clouds of steam, and you can swim out under the glass and out into the valley in the evenings. And there's the main pool in the centre. Inside these blocks of stone are some of the ones about senses, so one's about scent, where you're in a bath full of chrysanthemum petals, of all things. There's a fire bath, which is really hot, an ice bath, which is really cold. And you kind of swim amongst these kind of columns of stone. It's a building that doesn't try too hard, and that's what I love about it. It's a real effortless building. And I just thought I'd share it with you. Any questions? Great. Thanks very much.